But I mean, we don't have to go straight into it. I just thought I'd hit the button while I was thinking about. So no one say something untoward toward things. I guess
Untoward.
don't untoward any towards people.
Okay.
Mm.
What?
Let's see. So I'm not doing trivia because this one I could have. This one I could have.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Okay.
that means I also had to do trivia for Twilight, and I couldn't have.
Well, I mean, you
I
could.
wasn't will I could have, but I did. I'm like I got bored with Twilight trivia very quickly, and
That would work.
yeah.
I have a little bit. I have a few things on this, but not
Well, yeah. I mean, we all have things to
much.
say, but I mean, you know, we don't.
Um,
I don't need to do a trivia dump, is what I'm saying. I mean, you can certainly spit out any trivia you want to, but I'm not going to have it condensed this movie aired on because it didn't air. It's a movie.
okay.
I mean, it premiered, but
Yeah,
anyway,
it aired. It
eh,
played in the air.
yeah, yeah. No, I got up and I was sitting there and I was thinking, okay, am I gonna make Twilight trivia? I'm like, no.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's anybody who listens to that whatever one episode that's two episodes. Is that what you're doing? You putting these together?
Yeah, this is actually the second half. I'm recording it first.
I should have watched Twilight. I didn't
Why?
have time.
You didn't have to watch Twilight. That was
I
not a
want to
requirement.
know. I want to know what it is. I want to know what it is. I've never seen it.
Anyway, I thought it. You know all the plot twists though, because they're in the public culture.
Yeah, vampire goes to a field and dies because the werewolf won't have sex with her or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
Tara. Well,
Something like
it's just the first one, but Tara
that. Okay.
Taylor Lautner shows up and it's like, oh, I already know who this guy is. There's no mystery here, you know.
Forbidden Zone sounds like the opposite of that. I think it's quite a
Kind
bit
of.
yeah.
I I watched it and I loved it. I don't know entire. I guess I know what happened.
Oh, I'm still talking about Twilight.
Oh no, and but I'm talking about Forbidden Zone compared to Twilight.
Oh, right. Well, let's
Yeah.
put it this way. I did not get bored watching Forbidden Zone. I was looking at the clock, looking at watching Twilight. It's not even like I mean, you'll probably hear this in the other segment, but it's not even like it's a bad movie or anything. It's just kind of boring. That was my take on it. It's kind of boring. The actors are
With
fine.
Forbidden Zone?
No, it's Twilight. The actors in Twilight are fine because that's always been like the big bugaboo, right? On Twilight. Oh, the actors all suck in it. But they're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. Forbidden Zone, I don't know what the actors are doing. So
They're great. They're the bad.
the actors
the
are on
best,
drugs. That's what's
They're-
happening.
Yeah.
They're
The moment
all-
we get tired of Forbidden Zones, the day we get tired of life. I mean, that was
Okay.
wow.
I guess I need to do the little introduction here then. Give it 5 seconds and I'll start talking so I can cite it.
Right.
All right.
Welcome to the second half of Twilight Forbidden Zone, where we look at all of the movies in Twilight Forbidden Zone. Twilight is finished, so now it is time for Forbidden Zone. This is Matt here, coming back. Well, both of you guys are coming back to the Time Enough podcast. Mark is there. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Like a rare bird, there is Scott there. Sometimes a little hard to pin down for a podcast, but
Kimura Hashiv. Hello, everyone.
and
An
yeah,
awesome sweater, by the way. You listeners can't see it, but yeah.
You know, I'd spent over $1.5 on this. Well, 1,500 Japanese yen, which is nothing in US dollars
Okay.
these days. So
Yeah. Cool.
thousands. Yeah.
it's a $10. So yeah,
But great to catch up with you both. Great to catch up to everyone tuning into.
Yeah.
Hi.
but yeah, Mark, I was like, what should we do for the April 1st podcast? So you said Twilight Forbidden Zone. So I mentioned to Scott about Forbidden Zone. Then he became like obsessed watching clips of it or something on YouTube and kept talking about Forbidden Zone. So I was like, I guess I should try to invite him to this.
Oh, I mean, I had no idea what this movie was, I guess. No, I loved it. It's basically like the 70s. It's like if John Waters made Holy Mountain. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
it's amazing.
So you and I did not watch this somewhere around 2008 for its DVD release.
No, I've never seen this before. I mean, I helped friends of mine with a burlesque show where they were playing the movie, and I didn't stick around for the movie because of some reason. I don't remember why.
Yeah,
So,
because well, one of the reasons it was came out in 1983, was it? I could look at the page
I
I
think
have
it might be
open to figure that out.
1980.
82. Okay, the film premiered in 1980 and was distributed in 1982. So we're both right, except for my 1983, that was plain wrong.
Yeah, and I was imagining something like sci-fi sort of futuristic roller disco on, roller skates and things, but that was actually maybe the Forbidden Planet, which was a musical back in the 90s. So I wasn't really
Forbidden
sure.
Planet's a fantastic sci-fi movie from the 50s, but yeah, he had none.
Yeah.
It's just the forbidden word, I guess.
Yeah.
The forbidden word.
This was beneath a lot of radars, I guess. I mean, wow, where was it all my life? I mean, whoa.
I
Oh,
always heard
yeah.
it compared to Rocky Horror, which I'm not a
Mm.
huge Rocky Horror fan. So I didn't, and I think it's generally considered kind of beneath Rocky Horror for some reason. It's very different. But it's something where you see I've seen, bits of it, and you can't just see a bit of this and understand what it is, because it's basically just a constantly shifting absurdist sketch thing, I guess. It's like if it was sort of like if Monty Python moved 10 times as fast sometimes. I mean,
Or like a Big Lebowski sort of made on bath salts or something. There's like some of the
Yeah.
absurd scenes there. It's like
yeah, kind of. I mean, it's a lot of things, and that's part of what makes it really good, is that it's a lot of things, but it's 74 minutes long, so it's very digestible at the same time.
Yeah,
it's a good way to put it too, digestible. There's quite a few of the
I've already thrown out Twilight as the biggest sin it committed was being mildly boring. This one doesn't come close to committing the sin of being boring,
No.
Offensive maybe, but boring, no.
Yeah. It's not necessarily for modern sensibilities, but also when I saw when I sort of read up on the director and how he's Jewish, at least I don't feel like it's anti-Semitic. I don't know. But he's also a Scientologist. So that's weird.
I did find it interesting. This is, of course, directed by Richard Elfman, which I guess he was the Scientologist. He was the big brother of Danny Elfman, of course. And at this point in time, I guess he was fully big brothering, because Richard apparently started the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo.
Yes.
Tossed it over to Danny, who I guess had more musical aptitude, and was like, okay, now I'm making movies, and did this. And I mean, made some other stuff after this, but I don't think his career ever took off. Certainly not like Danny's.
Well, most recently, he crowdfunded a Forbidden Zone 2 and has not made it. And that was 2012. He raised about $200,000. I'm not going to say that's a scam, but it's not looking super duper ethical, because he said so. He sort of I mean, he posted on the Indiegogo as recently as a year ago and said something like, well, I still want to make this film, but I'm feeling resistance because modern sensibilities, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you did raise $200,000. And there are some comments where people were like, I still haven't gotten my signed DVD yet after 8 years. Like, okay.
I'm glad I just bought mine at the store, or maybe I got it from Amazon. I don't remember. That was 15 years ago.
Well, yeah, I definitely would get this on Blu-ray or something. But
I did watch the colorized one this time, whereas I know the first time I watched it in black and white. And I would say artistically, black and white does make more sense because it's got all the weird old movie tropes and things. But I kind of enjoyed watching it in color, just for the extra psychedelicness.
I didn't realize this had been colorized. Whoops. I did read up on how there was apparently a bunch of blackface that they digitally made into clowns.
Yes.
Correct. Which I did not. I didn't pick that up when I was watching it. So there wasn't much of it, but that's weird. But well, looked good. Good, nice clowning.
Into the underworld. Pretty mind-blowing, because the Forbidden Zone, I mean, despite the name, it does sound kind of tame. I mean, a lot of things, I think, sort of capitalize on words forbidden, or but I mean, that genuinely is quite a a chthonic experience into something very otherworldly. It's almost like a shamanic experience almost, because you sort of put a lot of your sort of predispositions away and, you know, say predilections and things, and you go into sort of like some weird mental capsule you wouldn't normally enter. It's fascinating. Yeah.
They go through the bowels of what, reality to get into the forbidden
Literally.
zone.
Yeah, literally. You come out of butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott,
It's like who is forbidding people from entering this zone, which is, you pick that apart. It's definitely
Hervé?
not.
Maybe Hervé? Is he doing?
No,
He's the king.
He seems fine.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just like you probably more like maybe you shouldn't go there.
Yeah, it is. Well, they put it in the name, didn't they?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
They're non-false advertising.
In a place as innocuous as Venice Beach, too, you know, somewhere that, you know, you wouldn't really have all these connotations, you know, sort of clean and suburban and maybe glamorous and glitzy almost. But you've got this sort of like fascinating, like filthy underworld beast right below the, you know, vestiges of like normal society, quote unquote. Yeah.
But in that way, it works perfect as a metaphor, because everyone, I feel like everyone in this film feels like what middle class suburban people are really like.
Yeah.
Like down to the queen. Yeah. Like, wow, I've met people like that.
Just
like a lot of them.
Just for comparison, when you guys were saying that, I just started thinking like Blue Velvet is kind of after the same goal and does it a very different way. So
yes, exactly.
At the end of the day, if you were like Forbidden Zone or Blue Velvet, it's Blue Velvet without. I didn't think about it, you know. But
Blue Velvet is like one of the best movies ever made, in my humble opinion. So that's kind of a tough call. I might take this over Eraserhead, depending on what day it is.
Okay, I could see that. Scott, I kind of dared you to try and make a plot out of this. Did you manage that?
I honestly didn't have a lot of time, but I gave it the old college try.
Oh, that's I think I told you not to take more than 10 minutes. So
yeah, which I didn't. I mean, yeah, I just saw my kids out of the door, and yeah, I just put pen to paper. I just finished watching it. Let's see, it's 8:45 in Japan now. I just finished watching it at 8:20. So yeah.
Okay, tell us what you saw then.
But yeah, what I jotted down was like it's an unforgettable descent into the underworld. And, you know, meet the anything but normally Hercules family, and their character Frenchie, like the daughter Frenchie, she's lured by curiosity to delve deep and explore the mysteries beneath the basement. The underworld is very seductive in many ways, so almost similar to like a, you know, bite of the apple in the Garden of Eden kind of. And she descends down into the sixth dimension, and there's a cadre of family members that go to follow her into the lair of the of Fausto, the midget king, quote unquote, whose ego kind of rules the roost. And it's almost like a soul retrieval going through these sort of progressions and stages. Yeah, and it's produced and directed by, as you guys said, Richard Elfman, and it's maybe like a homage to the surrealist cinema of the, you know, and the stuff of Freudian dreams. That's basically it.
Yeah, and our group of friends is kind of weird because I don't know that much about burlesque, right? Which I think a lot of at least Mark and I know from back home are like deeply into burlesque. So
I mean, yeah, I've run stuff for a lot of people. Yeah, I've been. I mean, I haven't. Well, yeah, I've been on stage. I'll put it that way. It's complicated,
Right.
but yeah. But Richard Elfman's wife at the time, who plays Frenchie in this, is Marie Pascal Elfman, did a lot of the set design, and she was influenced by a lot of impressionist stuff. So that's a lot of why it looks so cool, is because she sort of was trying to do like Dr. Caligari here, which I think they pull off very well at times. I mean, either it looks like that, it looks like German expressionism, or it looks like a basement. So it's, you know, it sort of runs that gamut, or it looks like a kind of a better version of a Terry Gilliam animation, which That was kind of interesting. Well, that actually looked better than Monty Python animation. I don't know who's doing the animation, but
Well, it is 10 years later, and they didn't really have money when
Yeah.
they did Monty Python. I mean, they probably had more than
that's
this.
true.
But
They probably did have, well, they might have had a lot of money for this. I don't know. Or they might have just had their friends working super hard in their basement on it.
I'm gonna guess in a burlesque world, it's friends working hard in the basement. I can sit here and
Yeah.
maybe see if I can figure out how much the thing cost.
Yeah, and almost like these sort of characters from Beverly Hillbillies, sort of like populating the cast was quite fascinating.
Well, being shot like a some 30s hour long pot boiler just to get people in and out of the movie theater.
Well, it says that they financed this movie by buying, renovating, and selling houses, and they ran out of money, and somebody else basically bought the movie. Like Richard Elfman said that by the time the film premiered, he was bankrupt and didn't have the rights to it anymore, which is kind of a bummer because I don't think it did well even after it came out.
Yeah, the budget is listed as around $100,000.
Yeah,
which is pretty. And I mean, the goal here was basically to film their stage show, which
Yeah,
I don't really
that's what it
know
felt
how
like
this works
that.
on stage, but again, haven't been to much live burlesque, so I
I
couldn't.
guess Hervé Villechaise's fee wasn't very high.
But he's the star of the film. I mean, just in star
Yeah.
power. I don't mean as in the lead, but yeah.
And can I say, man, he absolutely brings it here. He's doing a great job.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's wonderfully weird.
you would think he would kind of be phoning it in, but he is not. He's going for it. But yeah, but most going for it most of all is probably when Danny Elfman shows up as Satan. You can kind of tell that he's like, oh yeah, this is the guy who's gonna become famous.
But not on screen so much. Although you look up recent photos of Danny Elfman, and
Oh,
he still looks like he belongs in this movie. He probably looks more like he belongs in this movie now.
I think he made a ton of money on stage, at least as a singer for Oingo Boingo. I mean,
oh right.
Yeah, I know he became more famous as a composer, but yeah, he had a pretty healthy career doing that stuff first.
I can almost see where like Reverend Horton Heat, like the singer and like performer, sort of got his persona from. It's quite like that.
Yeah,
it's just fascinating. It's an interesting template there. I guess for such a movie on such a low budget, it just leaves such a mental impression. Like after you sort of like finish watching that, sort of how many minutes, like 74 minutes or something. It's like there's so much to go over, like mentally unpack. So
yeah, I mean the pacing is everything here. It's like they just don't give you too much time. They don't dwell on anything for too long, even to the point where people just get thrown into a pit and someone just throw someone else into a pit. They just keep it moving. And
after like a soul kiss, and
yeah, it's in the.
I mean, it's like spending time in the playroom with kids 7-year-olds on LSD or something.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that hasn't happened, but yeah, probably that's what it's like.
And I did think of Frenchie, Pascal, whatever. I thought she was really good. I mean, I don't know. I think she might be my type. Obviously, the director's type as well. But
well, she.
It is funny. The first 3 times I didn't pick up her name, so I just kept writing the French girl, and then I was like, "Oh, her name is actually Frenchie." Okay.
Frenchie.
Yeah.
And
she and Elfman were married until 87, and then he remarried someone younger, and his oldest son is married to Jenna Elfman, terrifying Scientologist Jenna Elfman.
Oh, okay.
Dharma from Dharma and Greg.
You're getting this lawsuit of he keeps saying the S word.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, no. You know what?
What?
Withdrawn.
There we go. I think that should solve it. But I am like, I've never been into the band Oingo Boingo. I feel like
I'm not a huge fan
Yeah.
either, even though I think Danny Elfman is an incredible vocalist. And
Yes.
and some of their I think that they are great at playing their instruments, but something about their general I don't know, the vibe kind of.
They might be geared really for the live show, might be part of it, because what else? I mean, you can listen to a Devo album, no problem. You don't. I mean, it's great if you see their show. It doesn't matter if you don't see their show. Devo works.
I feel like maybe this movie is sort of the key to what makes Oingo Boingo work, because I've always felt like they were a little bit grating in a way that I couldn't nail down. And maybe the whole thing is that they were trying to do this vibe where this aggressive vibe that this movie has, where it's trying to just assault you with um constant
Stuff.
things. And it works to me better as a film than as a band. And maybe if I watch this a few more times, then I'll start loving the band. I don't know.
There's sort of like an initiation sort of house band or something, like the Mystic Knights of the Oingo and Boingo.
I mean, pretty much. I think Devo
check it
was sort of
Yeah.
Devo was sort of the house band for the Church of the Subgenius, which is a very different thing, but they were sort of trying to do something as aggressive as this, even though I don't think Devo would appreciate that association, because I think they parted ways in like 1975 or something like that. But whereas this is literally in the family. But
Of course, half of this movie's music is also like weird old timey, needle drops, like pretty
yeah,
literally.
but also then there arrangements of things, and some of those scenes were some of my favorite one, like when they were all sort of singing that song and they were on the weird black and white, what was it, a bus or something? I don't even know what that was that was
Oh,
about. That was
they
really
were
cool.
going to like the tar pit factory or something, which was kind of trippy too,
Yeah,
like singing
yeah,
street names in Venice and then the tar pits and yeah, and I
yeah,
guess zoot suits and stuff. It was pretty far out. It was good.
Well, the
yeah.
LA crowd can dig that, I'm sure, but haven't been to LA myself.
Me, I've been to the airport.
I don't think that counts.
Last time I saw you guys in person was right after I went to the LA airport and transferred to plane to Japan.
They have a Trader
Anyway,
Vic's in there at the time.
no, they had Pink's hot dogs though. I had a burrito with 2 hot dogs in it.
Oh, okay.
That
I
was
don't know.
weird.
Yeah, they keep trying to put hot dogs in our burritos in Japan, and I don't want them. I don't want the sausage in there.
I mean, the latest thing here is we have the Korean corn dog places just sort of everywhere now, where you can
I
get
think we've
like
had a few of those pop up.
you can get something that's like half of a hot dog and half of a big mozzarella stick rolled in like Captain Crunch and then dipped in cinnamon, and then you get cheese to dip it in or something. It's just,
And now you have diabetes.
like a child made all of it up. Yeah, no, it's really good, but it's,
Actually, when you come
ridiculous.
to Japan again, they call them American dogs here, like corn dogs.
Oh yeah.
What we call
Nice.
jaguar dogs back home in Australia. Yeah.
It's funny because more I'd say that 95% of the places to get corn dogs here are Korean restaurants now. So it's like, I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm bringing up the old timey music because the one thing that Bim Bam Boom does get stuck in my head regularly for the past 15 years since I saw this for the first time, and the clip plays in my nightmare sometimes. So that, to me, that I guess was the most effective part for me. I don't know.
I mean, I liked whatever version of, I guess, Minnie the Moocher that Satan was doing.
Oh yeah, that was good. I,
The more evil version.
I guess that's what you mean by the arrangements. Yeah, because
Yeah.
especially early on, like when Frenchie starts singing, that's a straight needle drop. It's even got the vinyl
Mhm.
fuzz on it.
Yeah, there are a few of those. It's just a little bit of everything here, and amazing. It's amazing that they have time to do like 4 or 5 musical numbers in a movie that's barely over an hour long. They totally do it.
Well, they can call it a musical, right? Which they did.
Yep.
This could be like the genre of music I could definitely get into. It's just so fascinating.
I am trying to pitch exactly what I feel like this is the strongest form of some kind of sense of humor. Maybe the younger boomers or the older Gen Xers is this particularly their strain of, counterculture humor? Because the thing now is like, rando humor, right? Just random crap is funny.
Yeah. You could play this for very young people, and some of them, the ones that aren't offended, would be really into it, I think. I mean, I don't know, but I'm overselling the offense. It's not as offensive as, like, I mean, even like the Warriors or something like that,
I mean,
There's
it's so
Hard to take this
absurd.
seriously, yeah. Because I think anybody that takes this kind of movie, like quote unquote, seriously, I think, yeah, I can understand like some of the symbolism, like on the outside is offensive, but I think the point they're making is different, though. Like you mentioned, like anti-Semitic, but the actual director and producer is of Jewish heritage. So,
Yeah, after I
he's
saw
quite
that, I was
correct.
like, okay, well, yeah, that is a Jewish perspective. I mean, if you look at it from the Jewish perspective, yeah, that makes total sense. I've definitely seen other Jewish directors do stuff kind of like that. I mean, Mel Brooks, best example, probably. Like,
I think the
but
trippiness factor is just like there's one thing where like Squeeze at Henderson, like he's speaking from a garbage can, and it's talking about like communicating with his twin. She's in the underworld, and he's like, I've been communicating with her like via astral projection, and flashes a hot banana oil and something like that. Just it's so interesting. Like the dialogue is quite bizarre,
yeah,
but there's all sorts of interesting non sequiturs that things just dropped out of the blue, which is almost timeless. Actually, it's quite timeless.
yeah. Actually, you could tell me this was made now. Okay, aside from the look of it, I mean,
Well, it
I
doesn't even
would
look like
believe you.
1980 though, does it? That's one of the charms of the movie. It looks old, but you can't pin down what kind of old it is, you know?
Yeah, I like that's why I compare it to Holy Mountain, because Holy Mountain sort of looks like a almost like a painting,
Mm.
sometimes
The
instead of a film.
comparison I was going for more, I guess more because it's plot and cheap sets. I mean, cool cheap sets would, again, for John Waters would be Desperate Living. It's
Yeah,
kind of a similar plot, right? Going into the
yeah,
bizarre,
actually,
reject kingdom or whatever. So, I think this one has more energy, but maybe Desperate Living has more thrust. It's more
So to
together,
speak.
right? Because it's a
I
guy
mean,
who's made
it's a
several movies at that point.
very different thing.
Yeah, but
Like
it's both like
they're
way out weird. It's these both are like, only at midnight for a crowd of perverts, right?
yeah. I mean, it's well, this is they're trying to do basically a hyper speed sketch show where John Waters is. I mean, he's trying to. I think John
John
Waters is
Waters is
very
telling you a
deliberately.
fairy tale from his point
He's
of
very
view.
deliberately like mimicking slower things. Like I think John Waters. I honestly believe that I think he watched all the like French New Wave stuff and is sort of emulating. You know what I mean? Like you might. I feel like he's genuinely like a film guy.
No, I think he has basically been accepted as an auteur, and then they stopped letting him make movies, or he didn't want to. I
I
don't really
don't.
know.
I think he didn't want to make movies for less than $30 million or something like that. That's what he was saying. He's like, well, you can't. You can either make a movie for $100,000 or you can make one for 100 million, and you can't do anything in between. I'm like, well, you probably could make $100,000 movie, but
I think I know. I
he
think
just
we
doesn't
should
feel
give. I
like
think
it.
we should give John Waters 100 million budget and see what happens.
Well, he's making something now. I don't know how much money he's getting, but I guess he's getting enough.
Yeah.
I think a Dirty Shame was kind of high budget.
It was a proper studio film. So, but and then
Yeah.
it flopped as hard as it possibly could. So,
15 million. That's not that much.
well, that was
It
also
seems like
20 years ago. Not bad for 20 years ago for that kind of
okay.
film.
So maybe
Again,
yeah,
this
more like
film is
30
a
million.
100,000. Forbidden Zone.
Mm-hmm.
um, everyone is welcome to bring up some more points, but I do want to start rolling the questions, which is who in this movie, if anyone, went into the Forbidden Zone? Mark
Um
Sensor is laughing.
Frenchie, what are those guys? Grandpa and what's the other guy?
I think
Squeezy?
I think he was supposed to be a kid, but he was played by a very old man.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
there's like 25 men in drag in this film. Like nothing is
Yeah,
and a man with a frog
everybody in this
hat
movie takes
head.
place in the Forbidden Zone. Like, if we are going to
Yes.
compare it to Twilight Zone episodes, this is Little Girl Lost, right?
Yes, this is what happened when little girl like where little girl she was here. She
This
went
this is
there.
this is like the film version of Little Girl Lost.
She was
I,
just really confused while these guys were all in cages and stuff.
I think it goes where society is kind of like fears the trend sometimes, like quote unquote respectable society. It's sort of like the forbidden zone. Like,
So you're saying society goes into the Forbidden Zone in this movie?
well, it brings up the sort of like the dirt and the sort of puke and things like that. You know, the sort of things that people are embarrassed to sort of really bring out to sort of respectable, polite society and conversation. You know, it's sort of everything that's sort of regurgitated here.
Like by watching this, your life goes into the forbidden zone, and that will never leave.
So you are in the forbidden zone when you
I
watch
am in
this movie.
forbidden zone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it never leaves. You're still there. Okay.
You will never escape. Yeah.
It's weird too, because like you see like the role of societal rules, like in the classroom. The classroom's a really trippy one too. Like you've got the teacher. I'm just trying to think of the teacher's name.
We get the alphabet song.
Yeah, like the alphabet song. And you know, this guy, he gets wasted, he gets shot for cheating in a gambling, you know, playing dice at the back of the class. And there's a massive gunfight ensues. And I think one guy says, oh, Squeezer. Yeah, Squeezer says, Johnny just shot Billy. And the guy who shot him says, well, the man was cheating. And the teacher says, that does it, Johnny. You're going to Mr. Yodelbean's office. So the guy who got shot dead in cold blood, and you know, you sort of get sent to the principal's office. I mean,
well, Scott, you didn't go to an American high school.
Well,
at my school, the bathroom stalls had no doors, so people wouldn't, you know, smoke weed and screw in there.
I specifically feel like I never like took a dump in school.
Oh no, I would use the teacher's
ever,
bathroom, because if you were, people would just walk in, you'd be like, "Hi, folks," you know.
I think I was just one of those people who wouldn't go in a public bathroom until, you know, obviously when you reach a certain age, sometimes you just have to.
An American public high school bathroom is the real forbidden zone. Nobody wants to go in there.
Do you think all of this is a high school bathroom?
Thing that happened to me in the school toilets was having a water bomb thrown over the cubicle stall onto my head.
Oh man,
I think that's as violent as it got. You know,
that's kind of funny, but man, yeah,
we did have the word.
Yeah, I think I was crying actually over being bullied, and somebody threw up.
Sucks.
Yeah, but those were the days. Yeah, I get misty-eyed over my school time. Anyway, our own forbidden zone.
How about Frenchie? Does she deserve her trip into the forbidden zone? Sorry, Scott, I'm not going to.
I mean, didn't she take over?
Society deserves everything it gets.
she took over the forbidden zone at the end. I think she kind of won.
Yeah, like she kind of allowed the older queen to come back in charge, right? So the old queen is back in charge.
What? I thought she died.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, you know, again,
did she die in a pit when the real queen
the real queen
started making out with the fake queen, and then the fake queen threw the real queen into the pit, and then the fake queen also got thrown into the pit.
Okay, so you never get out, you never leave the forbidden zone is the main point.
I mean, they were sort of still alive because they were talking, but I don't know if they were really alive or if they were
half alive.
Part of the musical.
Does anyone really die?
And Frenchie had the crown on at the end and was dancing with Hervé Villechaize, so I think she sort of took over. Because he's also a French person, so he's like, yeah, come be. Since you're French, you understand because it's the master race, even though they're sort of not really. Whatever. Anyway,
major plot points are put forward through bizarre.
Somehow I retained some of this. I don't know how, but
yeah, because you mentioned like the queen's kissing on the side of the pit. And because I thought like in ordinary movies, right, you know, you'd have this kind of like the unity or the, you know, the unifying of opposites. So I think, oh yeah, I can see where they're going with this. And then they both end up dead in the pit. And so it kind of, I think it sort of fits in with a sort of surrealist adage where it's all about departures, not arrivals. So it's sort of like it's made to maybe sort of pique or like stimulate your curiosity, or just maybe wonder what the bloody hell's going on here. It's fascinating.
And then our the Gramps and what's his name, Wiggy or whatever, and they're just like dry humping everyone they meet, which I don't know if that's a burlesque thing or.
There's a lot of dry humping in this.
Yeah, I've been raising big question marks on that. I mean, it's like. Yeah,
such a weird choice.
I guess in that the forbidden zone, like the inability or, you know, to control one's emotions, like where the mind goes, the body will follow, I guess. I mean, It's pretty
The young
spread
men
out.
played by old
that-
men.
It makes
Have-
sense though, because I mean, that's another thing that makes this really modern is that now if you, I don't know, if you're with friends and you're just sort of talking over a movie and you see Batman get all up in Superman's face, you're probably just gonna say kiss him. And that actually happens here a bunch of times. You know?
Dry hump him.
Or
Get a room.
something, yeah. I mean,
And
I don't know,
even,
they probably-
yeah, coupling with a toad-like character in a tuxedo. I mean, ordinarily in a movie, that'd be quite bizarre. But it's amazing how we integrate such scenes quite fast, you know?
he's a major character. And then when he's thrown into the pit, the queen is just like, my toad, what did you do to my there never is he just is that. He's a toad.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because the only way I could sort of make like any sort of sense out of it was like in the maybe shamanic tradition, you have like the like a totem animal or something. But I think with, I don't know, I kind of thought with shamanism you'd sort of be going upwards, but maybe here you also go downwards. I'm not sure. Maybe there is no up or down.
This
Because
definitely
the underworld
feels like a
seems
lateral
almost
move.
heavenly at times for some, but yeah, it's interesting.
It's all what you make of it, man.
Beyond, they do refer to something like that. It's, can I just check my notes? I scribbled something down. Frenchie the Midget King, Fausto. Because I'd notice here, oh, the underworld's turning to heaven. But then to cap that off, you know, because I think, oh wow, there's something transcendent here. And then she says, "Oh, we'll conquer all the planets, and then we can hump them." I know the grandpa finishes off by saying, "Wow, okay."
I mean, yeah, there is one of my favorite parts of the movie is just at the end where after the queen dies, there's the what do you call it, title, like a title card that says the queen died, and then all of the Forbidden Zone fell into mourning, and it just shows them all dancing and running around and happy. So good.
There's another funny thing too, like just at the entrance of the underworld. I think that's when, sorry, who was it? The grandpa and the other gentleman following where Frenchie went, and they've got the it might be the Yiddish fellow in the toll booth, and he said, someone says, "I could bring Jesus Christ back," and he goes, "Well, for how much? 3 shekels." And I thought that was pretty funny too.
Yes.
Kind of outrageous, but it's just so
little vaudeville.
it's so appropriate
Yeah, for
for this
sure.
movie. Let's say it's very appropriate for this movie. But
Yeah.
it takes you out of your normal self. I mean, you don't see this in normal cinema. So I think anybody with an open mind find there's a lot of humor in this. I mean, you just got to go beyond the what's acceptable or not acceptable in most circles, and I think there's a lot of weird gems in this. It's fascinating. Weird scenes inside the gold mine, as maybe Jim Morrison would put it.
Where do you want
Yeah,
to put this
so-
one? The tripometer then. 0 is not trippy, 5 is
Oh, God.
expected. Yeah, I think it's
Six.
a 6.
High as
Sure.
it goes, yeah.
6.66 on the tripometer.
Yeah,
out of
6.66.
5.
I'd
6.66 out of 5.
I'll hump that. Yeah.
Okay.
nice.
Scott
No,
humps
Yeah,
it.
there's no
Scott's
competing with
humping
it.
Satan.
There's nothing. Oh, interesting fact. Some that I came across is that the original voiceover of the Twilight Zone had to be re-recorded because Rod Serling said you've just entered the 6th dimension, and someone said to him like, "Hey, shouldn't it be the 5th dimension? There are only 4 dimensions." He was like, "Oh, there are only 4 dimensions. Okay." Like he thought there were 5 dimensions.
Well, now they're like
So there
there's
was a 6th
11.
dimension.
There's 11 or 12 now if you're into like string theory, right?
Well, I'm not. But anyway, yeah, the Twilight Zone is the 5th dimension and the Forbidden Zone is the 6th dimension. So, you know,
Right.
this basically is directly adjacent to the
In Twilight, I took a bit of a nap in the movie and had to go back and watch it.
That one's
Just
in
the
that one's
antithesis
in the
to
that one's in the
emo
3rd dimension. That was just in the 2nd dimension. It's just flat. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure that I'll just pretend that I've already watched it and listened to the other half of this episode, which I haven't, obviously.
Which hasn't quite been recorded yet because the
Oh.
time and space has been broken down, man.
Whoa. Well, because the 6th dimension takes precedence.
Yeah, I mean, after it's going to take a a short break, and then I'm going to do the first part of this episode, doing it backwards today. Yeah.
Well, that's inside baseball from the sixth dimension for you listeners.
For the second dimension, in regards to
I mean, fourth dimension,
third.
really. This is fourth
dimension's later
stuff.
because that's time.
No,
that's
fourth
later.
dimension.
That's later. No,
that's
you have
what
to
you're
wait.
talking
It's time.
about. We're talking about the fourth dimension right now. You're talking about how this is temporally misaligned. So yeah.
Right. So I want to add dimensions for the explanation. That's how string theory works. When you can't
You have to
explain it, you
wait,
do more
though.
math and you add more dimensions.
No. Oh.
I mean, I can't do that math.
Matt's gonna have to take the fourth dimension from the sixth dimension to the second dimension for the first part of this
Yes.
episode for a show that normally deals with a show that takes place in the fifth dimension.
Now, if you want to hear more about dimensions, you can go to Patreon to Podcastias, where you will hear us further discussing dimensions, extra speaking of dimensions on the Time Enough podcast. Also, Films and Filth, where we talk about really good and really bad films. What else do we do? Oh yeah, podcast 1999.
You and Scott have, your music.
We got musical stuff. It's rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com, where there's lots of music we made. Sorry, I had to make a dimensional pitch. And if I had asked if anyone wanted to say anything else about Forbidden Zone, I would have lost that. I
don't see how they can follow up on such a movie.
You know what? Watch it.
Watch it.
If you're listening to this and you haven't watched it, okay, unless you're under 18, in which case you shouldn't, because there's boobies in it. Unlike the Twilight Zone, but you can
watch people get ripped apart, but you can't see a boobie.
Well, welcome to the suburbia.
It's such an experience. It just really is. It sort of goes beyond anything you sort of, imagine in the mind. It's so, it has to be beheld, I think. And all the things that you could probably be burned at the stake for is probably in there, but it's worth it watching it. With a sense of humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having the IMDb page, I'm just watching, people in their underwear and a frog running around, and people's someone's being roasted on a spit while they're naked, and great stuff.
There's images.
You'll enjoy it. Yes, imagery by the pound.
Yeah, you'll never see like a love scene on such a elongated court table again in the same way. It's love might be a bit of a stretch, but yeah, it's
maybe my favorite Alice in Wonderland. Because that is a thing. There, I feel like we talked about on this show how Christmas Carol is a genre, and I think that Alice in Wonderland is also a genre. I think this might be my favorite one. So,
amen.
Yes. I think is Wizard of Oz also an Alice in Wonderland? It kind of is, right?
Hey, the book was written pretty much about just shortly after. I feel like it gets to. I agree, but I feel like you got to give Baum his own steam on that, because it's not like he was just Also, I think his personal history was less screwed up than Lewis Carroll's, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, Baum is a great feminist. Apparently, not super. Not great.
I'm saying
racism,
that without,
but
I'm saying that without knowing that much about him. I'm just guessing he probably comes off better in Lewis Carroll.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'll withhold my judgment on the Elfmans as well.
I mean, I don't know. I'll give Baum credit. He was the first thing that I ever read that had a trans character in it in a book from 1902. So that's pretty amazing. And she was like the queen. So yeah. Anyway,
I'm going to shut this one down for a day. So, confused listeners, we will be entering the fourth dimension of the Twilight Zone next week with In His Image. So,
true.
See you
also drippy.
Then
the Forbidden Zone has no boundaries. Yeah, it's a lot more than no limit to the sixth dimension, maybe. Yeah, what a ride. Well, thanks for inviting us. That was a lot of fun.
Word up.
Dude, good to see you.
I'm going to go ahead and hit the recorder.